Today, we're going to dive into why most dating advice doesn't work anymore. Why? Maybe the question is, why are humans outsourcing their intuition and their way of being, listening to dating advice? Now, let me just say this. The why is simple because most dating advice is predicated on fear or false hope. Let me repeat that: fear or false hope. Things like 10 signs you're with the one. Do this to get a guy to chase you. 5 signs he's using you. We're focused on either hope or false hope or fear. Now, let me just raise my hand. I am so guilty of this in the last 5 years, particularly on my YouTube channel. I've produced so much content out there based on this premise. And why have things changed so radically in the last few years? I genuinely believe there's been a shift in consciousness since COVID. And that's why I want to dive into this today, because let's face it, all dating advice lately has just turned into noise. And the older we get, this is even more complicated for those of us breaking our blueprint. And what I mean to say, if you're a baby boomer like me or a Gen Xer, because my audience is midlife, which I say is after baby making years and before retirement, we were indoctrinated to believe that we should go to college and get a job and meet someone and get married and buy a house and start a family. And that's the recipe to relationship success. In fact, we were so indoctrinated in that all we needed was chemistry with someone to experience relationship success. How many of you has that blueprint you had collided with your reality? And if you've been on the planet for 40, 50, 60, or even 70 years, I'm sure you've amassed a fair amount of life experience. And more importantly, you probably have some intuition. But do you really listen to your intuition? Because everything you need to know is within you. But most humans don't tap into this part of ourselves. You know, when you think of the idea of being with the one, do you really need to see signs that you're with the one? Don't you just know it intuitively? Think about it. When you're with the right person, you just feel good. When you're feeling agitated, when you're feeling uncertain, when you're feeling confused, when you get mixed messages, certainly those are signs that something is off. But you already know that intuitively. But here's the benefit of all the dating noise out there. I call it noise. The benefit is within that noise, it should create distortion within your harmony. That's right, distortion within your harmony. See, we have infinite power to tie into our frequency. And the most important frequency, I believe, is leaning into pure love for self and love for others. To lean into pure love for self, for others. And so all that noise is an opportunity to shift your frequency. How do I know this? Folks, I just want to be candid with you. Many of you have been following my channel for a little while, know that I'm in a significant relationship. Now, for those of you that have followed me for a number of years, you know I was in a significant relationship about 3 years ago. Wait, excuse me. It's been 3.5 years ago. Excuse me. I met someone, fell in love. We got together. We lived together, but it didn't work out. Those things happen. In fact, I met someone years prior to that. We were together on and off for 6 years. That didn't work out. And prior to that, over 30 plus years ago, I met my now ex-wife, and that didn't work out. And you might say, well, Jonathan, you're not much of a success in relationship. By the way, how many of you are? Raise your hand if you've had more than 3 or 4 or 5 significant relationships. And let me just be clear when I say significant relationships. You are in a relationship with someone for 3 months or longer. Let me just say this. If you've spent 3 months with someone exploring a relationship, that is significant. And we shouldn't trivialize that as being anything less than significant. And so, look, I've got a fair amount of life experience. You have a fair amount of life experience. And yet I found love. And I'm going to tell you, this all happened because I worked on changing my frequency. How did I do that? Well, first, I asked myself some really introspective questions regarding my past relationships. And more importantly, the one that was the one that was serious early a couple years ago, I did a deep dive into asking myself, what positive things about myself did I learn in this experience? Now, did you hear me say experience? I mean relationship, but what positive things about myself did I learn in this experience? What was good about this experience? What was good about it? Did I heal any childhood wounds or adult traumas in this experience? What was not good about this experience? What was not good about the relationship? By the way, the importance of recognizing what's not good is to make that as part of your barometer to help your intuition along the way. And then lastly, what am I most grateful for about this experience? By the way, I'm inviting you all to write that down. Can someone write this down if you're watching right now? Ask yourself, what positive things did you learn about yourself in this relationship? How have you healed childhood wounds or adult traumas from this relationship? What was good about this relationship? What was not good about this relationship? And lastly, what are you most grateful for? Because remember, I said earlier, when we're vibrating at a frequency of pure love for ourselves and others, we can operate from that frequency. We become a magnetic attractor for what we want. So after my significant relationship ended, I did a deep dive into really getting clear, to really establish the frequency I wanted to that frequency I wanted to put out in the world. Can I tell you something? A lot of dating advice it's all that noise, but it's designed to help you fine tune your frequency within yourself. See, we all have the capacity to be magnetic attractors to what we want. And more importantly, we have the intuition to determine if something's worth moving closer to or moving apart. How do I know this? Well, many of you know, as I said a moment ago, I'm in a significant relationship. Now, what's interesting is we connected on several different dating apps before we finally met in person. By the way, I'm still a big proponent of dating apps. I know many of you are frustrated. Many of you can't stand it. Many of you just want to throw up your, like just scream at the top of the lungs and say, this is so insane. I get it. But here's the beauty of online dating. It allows you opportunity to meet people you wouldn't otherwise meet in your daily life. How many of you are actually circulating around single eligible people on a regular basis? The trick is learning good communication skills, learning vetting skills, all those things I teach in my private coaching. By the way, if you want support, there's a link right here. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. My whole area of expertise is teaching you something I call radical honesty, pre-qualifying your prospect. It's all designed to go much deeper than the surface, whether you're online dating or you're meeting someone organically. But as I said before, we met through 3 different dating apps and finally met in person. Now, we did have a 3-hour phone call first. Now, the reason why it lasted 3 hours, about halfway into our conversation, and what was interesting, we got in, I don't know why, but we got into a philosophical conversation about dating and relationships. That's what kicked it off. And during that conversation, I found out that she belonged to a couples group that is founded by a couple that I know very well. And in fact, I know many of the couples in the group. So then we spent another hour and a half talking about our mutual friends. And we decided to meet the very next day. And so we met up for breakfast one morning. And while there wasn't initial attraction between the two of us, we had this unique energetic chemistry between the two of us. We had a 5-hour conversation. What's interesting is she and I are both very curious people, philosophical, fascinated with human behavior, fascinated with personal development, self-help, and spirituality. So we went down all these nooks and crannies in our conversations. And after the date, I was like neutral about it. And coincidentally, she was neutral about it. In other words, there wasn't this pull towards one another. We weren't being amped by lust. We weren't amped by limerence. We weren't love bombing each other or anything like that. But we operated from a place of curiosity. And so we decided to speak on the phone for the next 10 days. Not that we planned 10 days, but it worked out for about 10 days. We spoke on the phone regularly, just getting to know one another without the pressure. Without the pressure. In fact, our first meeting, I said, do you mind if we just meet each other without the pressure of a date, just to see if we're like each other? And she's like, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Take out all the pretense. In fact, if you've ever read the book, If the Buddha Dated, all the books I recommend are listed below. Why I'm bringing up this book is it throws out the bullshit gender rhetoric and says, how can we connect with another human being from a heart-centered place? From that frequency of love, both love for ourselves and love for others. And 10 days afterwards, there was this strong attraction to want to meet again. And we met up again. I'll be candid with you. I was very intentional. I gave her a kiss literally moments after I met her because we had built up so much connection over the phone, so much familiarity. And next thing I know is game on. The attraction was built from there. Why is this so important to share? Because we were operating from a frequency of love. That's one of the reasons why we just kept getting closer and closer and closer to one another. There was this curiosity. We weren't playing the performative game of attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection that most people are adopting as dating advice today. In fact, how many dating coaches have told you never interview someone on a date? I say quite the opposite. You should interrogate people. Now, I say it with a little tongue in cheek, okay? What is interrogation? Interrogation's about getting to the truth. How do you get to the truth? Through curious questions, going deeper than the surface of, how's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. What kind of deeper questions can you ask? Tell me about your past relationships. What's something positive you learned from your past relationship? What was something that you wished was different in your past relationship? Do you take ownership for any part of the ending of the relationship? Dive deeper than the surface. Look at, this is your life. Do you have time to fuck around? No. Why are some people so afraid to go deep? But Jonathan, I'm just told to sit in my feminine energy and let men lead because men are such good leaders of the relationship. If men are such good leaders of relationship, why do women initiate divorce at an 80% rate? If they're such good leaders of the relationship? Yes, we are good at chasing sex. You know this. But Jonathan, I'm told that men are the leaders and they're supposed to chase because men love the hunt, men love the chase. Guess what? Yes, we love to chase sex, but it's incumbent upon you. Men are the gas, you are the brakes, ladies. And so I'm here to offer an alternate perspective. And what I mean by alternate perspective is throw out all that dating advice and start becoming attuned to who you are and what you want. Something I wrote about in my book called What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. Why am I recommending this? I want you to create a relationship with yourself that is so fantastic that you become a magnetic attractor for what you want. How do you get there? Someone write this down, or I want you to write this down. I want you to begin to describe what it feels like to be in the kind of relationship you want. What are the feelings are you looking to have? Write that down. What do you want to feel? Do you want to feel joy? Do you want to feel peace? Do you want to feel calm? Do you want to feel safety? Do you want to feel passion? Write down the feelings you want. In addition, write down what your needs are in your life. What are the needs you have for yourself? What are your needs? By the way, where's my list? Somewhere here. Here, I'll just share with you a couple. Oh, shoot, that's not here. Darn it. I had my list right here. Now I can't find it. What are my needs? My needs to be with someone who is curious. My need is for reciprocity. My need is for charity. My need is for appreciation. My need is for gratitude within a person. These are just some of the few needs I have. Someone who's stable, someone who has a flexible lifestyle, someone who's healed their childhood wounds, someone who has healed their traumas. or at least is in the active process of healing them. These were some of my needs, and I invite you to write down the feelings you want to experience in a relationship and the needs that you have from a relationship. And by the way, I invite you to ask the man or woman whom you're dating is to do the same. So when you're sitting down, you can see if you share the same values. Do you have the same vision of a relationship? Are your lifestyles blendable with one another? And more importantly, is this person emotionally mature enough to be in a relationship? You know, one of the reasons why most relationships don't succeed is because we are a walking population of emotionally dysfunctional human beings with weak emotional maturity and poor relationship skills. But the funny thing is everybody think it's like this. It's her fault. It's his fault. It's his fault. It's her fault. Everybody's pointing the finger without looking at themselves. That's the irony in all this. Folks, if you want to become a magnetic attractor for the kind of relationship that feels juicy, delicious, healthy, happy, and secure, then you have to show up as juicy, delicious, healthy, happy, and secure outside of the egoic space we are all sitting in. Is any of you guilty of this? If you have, take ownership of it and say, I'm guilty of being a little bit entitled. I'm guilty of having my ego get the best of me and be a bit arrogant. I'm going to raise my hand and say I've been that way. So why does most dating advice not work anymore? Folks, it's time to operate from a 5D perspective. Let's throw out all the rules that we've learned and ask ourselves, how can we connect with another human being from a genuinely heart-centered space? That's my invitation for all of you. How can we do that? That's the question I invite you to ask. And from that space, I want you to imagine that you are a magnetic attractor for what you want. You're not looking for a needle in the haystack. You are to become the electromagnet that draws it to you. I want you to envision it that way. Whether you're a man or woman listening to this right now, I want you to envision being a magnetic attractor for what you want. And I think it's time to throw out all the rhetoric and start operating from being just who you are and allow your intuition to be your guide going forward. Not fear, not false hope. Let your intuition be your guide. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me. See if working with a coach is right for you. Get all the books I recommend in the show notes.